There's an old saying that history will be the judge, but I say why wait? I'm Parker Terrell, and this is the plain truth. It's been about 3 weeks now since the attack on Aramis, and I know a lot of you have been waiting to hear my take on things. Been wanting to know if I am having the same uneasy feeling and suspicions as you. Well, I think 3 weeks is long enough to not only allow the government to have their official word, for them to make speeches and promises, but more importantly, it has been time enough for the truth of what transpired that day to begin to come to light as well. Everyone agrees that what happened in Vega was a tragedy, me included. But I think the real tragedy is more than just the horrible destruction and death of that day. The atrocious attack by the Vandal finally showed us just how corrupt and morally bankrupt our supposed leaders have become. Before we get into the thick of it, I want to say a few things first. You don't go around exposing the truth as long as I have without realizing that misfortunes like what happened in Vega are different from a politician's lying or a corruption of a corporation betraying its customers, and need to be treated as such. Real people died that day in Vega, and I'll bet that many of you out there have suffered personal loss or know someone who has. The things I'm going to say, I don't want them to belittle what you all must be feeling. I don't want anyone to think that I'm trying to imply that the horrible events that transpired on the 5th are somehow less meaningful because of the truth behind them. Brave men and women, civilians, citizens, starmen, and Marines alike sacrificed more than anyone should have been asked to, and all too many good people lost their lives along the way. I want to make it clear that what I am going to discuss is not on them. No, the accusations I'm going to make lie squarely at the feet of those in power of the UEE, the ones who allowed their deaths to happen in the first place. Let's look at the facts, shall we? Senator Polo does the Empire a huge favor and for the first time in decades, if not centuries, makes an extremely admirable attempt to curtail out-of-control military spending. After being stymied by the Senate, the true power of democracy comes to bear, and the citizens of our grand political experiment will be given the final say in the matter. Now, just as the voting for this groundbreaking initiative is wrapping up, what happens? A Vandal kingship declares to pay our poor people of Vega a visit and collect its toll. I find it interesting that when the Vandal could have attacked at any time, they somehow managed to choose to launch an all-out assault in the middle of a vote that would have slashed the military's overly inflated budget. Don't you as well? Especially when you take into account that it's been well over 50 years since the last time a kingship has entered a human-controlled system. It seems that we've had no trouble keeping the invading clans at bay since then, so we, as responsible, skeptical individuals, have to ask, why now? Why Vega? Was Admiral Bishop under orders to let the Vandal fleet through so that the military could show unequivocally that the Empire still needs to funnel them trillions of credits every year? Think about this. We know from first-hand reports that the Second Fleet was already in place near Vega 2 when the attack happened. Why would the full mass of the fleet be gathered there if they don't expect an imminent fight? It seems that the Navy had advanced intelligence that a raid was going to happen, or, as I believe, had planned for it to happen. Either way, the Navy did know that the Vandal were on their way. Why the hell weren't the people of Artemis warned ahead of time? Wouldn't the military want to evacuate as many people as possible? Instead, we had survivors saying that raid sirens only went off at the last possible moment, barely giving them any time to react. Is it possible that maybe, just maybe, the military wanted the body count to be as high as possible? That high command believed the only way to ensure their budget for the next 100 years was to have enough blood spilled that every human would be rushing to give them anything they asked. It was either negligence or malfeasance that led to so many deaths on Artemis. And to be honest, I am not sure which scares me more. Actually, I take that back. I know what scares me the most, and it's this. It is looking more and more like they got exactly what they wanted, and they're going to keep getting what they want. Thanks to the death of those millions and millions of innocent people, and Admiral Ernst Bishop's recent fervent plea to the Senate, I am sure that any day now we will be hearing that their conflict, it will be our conflict with the Van Duel, and has been escalated to a full declaration of war. Then it won't matter if Polo Initiatives passes or not. The military will have unfettered access to a wartime budget completely separate from the normal fiduciary constraints and not part of the spending cuts outlined by the initiative. I can only imagine the next gigantic boondoggle that the Navy will leave to throw money and in the name of defending the Empire, etc., etc. Let's take a break here. I need a minute to calm down, and I want all of you to have a chance to reflect. The truth can sometimes be a hard pill to swallow, but it's bitter medicine we all need to take. When we come back, Gerald Firth, a survivor of the fall of Caliban, will join us to give his take on what happened in Vega. This is Plain Truth and nothing else. This was The Plain Truth, a lore writing by CIG's lore team. More of this, CIG. This is back from October 2015, and I want to give a nod to the folks over on Pipeline who put this up as a discussion point about whether or not Bishop was up to no good at some point. And it's always fun to bring up these type of discussions. I've done 2 other Plain Truths. I'll put them at the end here. But I never really can figure out Parker Terrell's motivations. One minute he's going after Hearth Dynamics, another minute he's attacking Regen as like a counterpoint to the Civilian Defense Force's willingness to help out Zenithreat or let Zenithreat run, and the next minute he's going after the UE Navy. He's a really interesting character, and he goes after pretty much everybody. And this is not like this is what happened, this is insider baseball type thing, but it is in lore, and it is something that is part of the world, the verse that is building up around Star Citizen and Squadron 42. And he's speaking about events of Squadron 42, including the Battle of Vega 2, and all of the problems that are caused that befell humanity because of that situation. The valiant victory that was pulled from the clutches of defeat, and all the losses of people and the people who are injured. And it's a fascinating time in the background. Also, if you haven't already seen it, the recent CitizenCon for 2954 in our world is 2024. It is very good. It's the entire playthrough prologue of that actual battle. So this is even more timely that this is out. And I know that lore is not the most exciting thing for some backers, but if you did check this out and give it a shot, even though you're not already into lore, thank you for giving it a shot. I hope you do appreciate it, and I hope you caught the bug, because a lot of the things that you find in lore tend to inform what we're going to see in-game. So if you're just interested in the PU and Squadron or one or the other, be sure to check out the lore that applies to that specific game. There's some wonderful information on the wiki and the Galactopedia. And if you're interested, if you put a message below in the comments asking about a specific topic in lore, we can gladly point you in the right direction. And that's basically where I'm at. Thank you all, and have a great evening.